Among the many people aboard the RMS Titanic, there was a large group of passengers whose stories are often less visible but deeply important. Please subscribe. Individuals who traveled in third class, carrying with them hopes, dreams, and the desire for a better future, making their journey not just a crossing of the Atlantic, but a turning point in their lives, one that held both promise and challenge. For these passengers, the Titanic represented opportunity. Many were leaving behind difficult conditions in their home countries, seeking new beginnings in places where they believed they could build a better life. The journey was filled with anticipation, as they imagined what awaited them on the other side of the ocean. Despite the simplicity of their accommodations, there was a sense of purpose that defined their experience. The third-class areas of the Titanic were designed to be functional rather than luxurious. While they were an improvement over earlier ships, offering better conditions than many expected, they were still far from the comfort experienced by first-class passengers. Space was limited, and facilities were shared, creating an environment that required adjustment and resilience. Life in third class was shaped by community. Passengers often traveled in groups, with families and friends, supporting one another throughout the journey. This sense of connection helped to create an atmosphere where people could find comfort despite the challenges they faced. Conversations, shared meals, and small moments of joy became part of their daily lives. However, these conditions also meant that information did not always reach third-class passengers as quickly or as clearly as it did in other parts of the ship. When the situation began to change, this delay became an important factor. Without immediate awareness of what was happening, some passengers were slower to respond, reducing the time they had to make decisions. The layout of the ship added another layer to these challenges. Navigating from lower decks to the upper areas where lifeboats were located required movement through corridors and spaces that were not always straightforward. In a situation where time was critical, this complexity could create delays and confusion. As the reality of the situation became clearer, third-class passengers faced difficult choices. The urgency of the moment, combined with limited information and unfamiliar created a situation where decisions had to be made quickly, often under pressure. For many, the experience was overwhelming, as they tried to understand what was happening and how to respond. What makes these stories particularly powerful is the contrast between the hopes that brought these passengers onto the Titanic and the challenges they faced during its final moments. They began their journey with dreams of a better future, only to find themselves in a situation that tested their strength and resilience in unexpected ways. Some third-class passengers were able to survive, carrying their stories with them as they moved forward in life. Others were not as fortunate, and their stories became part of the larger narrative of loss that defines the Titanic's history. These experiences highlight the human cost of the event and the importance of remembering every perspective. Looking back, the hidden struggles of poor passengers on the Titanic provide a deeper understanding of the tragedy. They show how factors such as class, access to information, and physical environment can influence outcomes in significant ways. These stories remind us that history is shaped not only by major events, but also by the experiences of individuals. More than a century later, these stories continue to resonate, offering insight into the realities of life at the time and the challenges faced by those seeking a better future. They serve as a reminder of the importance of empathy and understanding when looking at the past. In the end, the poor passengers aboard the Titanic represent a vital part of its story. A reminder that behind every historical event are people with hopes, struggles, and experiences that deserve to be remembered. Their journey, though marked by hardship, remains an important part of the Titanic's legacy, adding depth and meaning to an event that continues to be studied and remembered around the world.